Hey, Andre. Thank you for doing the interview with me. If you don't mind, we'll go ahead and get started.
Of course, no problem.
What do you mean by making organ sales legal?
I'm supposing that probably means that it is currently illegal to sell organs to the general public, and by making organ sales legal, I would assume that making organ sales legal would be to bring the sale of human organs into legal legality. I guess
Okay. Um, what are some moral viewpoints about making organ sales legal?
moral viewpoints. I don't believe that it is morally right to sell organs to any human being, because if it's the sale of organs to human beings, that means that there's a price point for every organ that is sold. So in the case of a very important organ like the heart or kidneys or anything of that sort or nature, that organ would have a high price value, meaning that people that actually need that organ would be unable to purchase the organ, unable to make the adequate monies necessary to purchase the organ, as well as put their families into an unfair predicament morally, because of the fact that it is now a issue of price and not just availability.
So, why do you think that? Could you give me some reasons that other people might find selling organs as morally wrong?
I feel as though other people find selling organs morally wrong for many different reasons, due to many different aspects of what that means for humanity, because then it doesn't become a Hippocratic dilemma. It becomes a dilemma of finance, making health, which is already a disproportionately finance based uh, issue, with people's ability to pay for their own health insurance, pay for their health care, pay for the aspects of their health that go unnoticed. Um, it's already an issue of money to begin with, and to bring organ sales into that will make it an issue morally with the price, make it an issue morally with the availability of certain organs. Because if it's just like, I don't know if human beings need more than one organ at a time, but if it's an issue of we have X amount of organs that are a lower price point than other organs, then those organs will sell out faster, but they might be an organ that's more readily needed by human beings to survive. So then it'll be a question of like availability, price, how do they set price for each organ, and then also morally, like who does the money go to? Does it go to the family of the person the organ came from, or does it go to the hospital? Because the hospital has nothing to do with the organ making it to the next individual, other than they keep the organ fresh in a usable state for the next patient that receives the organ. So like price, availability, um, actual financial price of the organ, and then maybe fourth, another morally wrong aspect of that is, um, how does a person uh, gain the monies necessary to do it? Not just the price itself, but how does a person gain the necessary money to pay for an organ? Because paying for an organ could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It could be tens of thousands of dollars. It could be hundreds of dollars. But it's just, how does a person go about making that money in a succinct and quick way, or have that money readily available for them to pay for an organ?
Is
And
there
their life shouldn't be contingent upon their ability to pay for said organ. Their living should not be contingent on a monetary price or value.
is there any other reason to support that viewpoint?
Possibly 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 the religious standpoint of why people find their meaning in a religious standpoint of, like in Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe they don't like to do blood transfusions or organ donation or be recipients of organ donations, as well as they don't do blood transfusions. So there's religious aspects to why that wouldn't be morally right, aside from just the paying of monies for organs.
Pick one of those reasons that you stated and try to create a general principle that supports it. So, a general principle is a moral rule that applies to the topic and other situations too. So, like, for example, if a person's in a situation, then then this is acceptable, or this is not acceptable, or this is like an obligation.
As a moral principle, a person's life should not be contingent upon their financial capital in regard to their health and wellness. So, as a general principle, I feel as though
if a person's in the hospital,
exactly, if a person's in the hospital and they're already in need, they should not be. And like, what's the exact format of the statement again? That like, because I feel like if a person is in the hospital, they should not thereby need to have some outside element dictate whether or not they receive help or not. So, as a general principle, I don't believe that people should have their life be contingent upon.
I think more so it sounds like you might believe that, like, if a person was in a hospital, then then organ sales are morally
Wrong.
obligated. Oh.
Yeah. Organ sales are morally wrong. If a person is in the hospital and already in need of organs or in need of
so you believe
physical
that
treatment, I don't believe that selling them an organ is morally right.
So then how?
I feel like organ donation, the basis of organ donation lists people that need organs already, is a viable option for donating organs to those in need, being on a list, because it's chronological for one thing. So those at the top of the list are more like in a listing of organs being chronological as to when they become available and when someone needs them. The person at the top of the list needs the organ most urgently. So that keeps everything from a moral standpoint and from a standpoint of urgency for said organ.
Okay.
It keeps it in a well-meaning way.
So your general principle is that if a person is in a hospital in need of an organ, then it is morally wrong to sell them the organ, and the organ should be donated.
Correct.
Okay. Well, thank you again for doing the interview with me.
No problem at all.